Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. I'm Dan Camilleri.
And I'm Laura McKillop. We'd like to start by thanking Enduro for their ongoing support in bringing you our live weekly Q&A. Tonight we're fortunate enough to be speaking with Anthony Quinn from Kellesley Working Dogs.
Anthony will be picking who he thinks has asked the best question of the night, and they'll win a bag of Enduro high-energy food for working dogs with real kangaroo meat.
Hey, how you going?
Hello, Laura. Hello, Dan, and thanks very much for inviting me to come on your program tonight.
Oh, thanks for jumping on.
Welcome. Great to have you on board, mate. How's your day?
Yeah, it was good. It's good. We've had a bit of rain, about 13 mils over the last 12 hours, so it's been really good. And every day we can get rain and no frost at this time of the year is really positive for us. So we've had a great start to the year, great autumn, and things look really promising at the moment. And they predict things are going to be dry towards the back end of the year. But anyway, we can only take one day at a time and see what happens.
13 mil, quiet day tomorrow, mate.
Pardon, Dan?
With 13 mil and a little bit more coming, will be a quiet day tomorrow?
Well, no, I'm heading off to the vet tomorrow with the dog, so that'll be the start of it. And there's always plenty to do. You can get in the shed and get into the maintenance. There's always plenty to do, plenty of work to do. And if you think there's nothing to do, you're not looking. So it's you just got to get a list and keep pressing along. So
doing done list.
Sorry, Dan.
A doing done list.
Yes.
I'm doing this and this is done.
That's it.
Beautiful. Mate, do you want to kick off? Just tell us a little bit about yourself and where home is, where you grew up.
Yeah, I come from a little town called Gammain, which is about 50 k's northwest of Wagga, and it's a hay capital of Australia. It was once in the day. We used to produce a lot of sheaf hay and build haystacks, and that throughout the summer and through the late spring we get in with the binders. And the last binder was built in about 1935, and so it was really old technology and stooking hay and carting hay with horses and trucks and building haystacks. And so that's sort of what predominantly Gammain's been built around all those years. And it's been a great industry and great for the economy of the local little town here. So I've been here in Gammain all my life. I grew up just across the road, and I moved over. Leanne and I bought this property in about 1996, and we've been here. And we raised our three kids, Tom, George, and Sophie. And so it's a good part of the world. It's about 18-inch rainfall, and it doesn't always come, but we enjoy being here, and it's our home, and so it's a good place to be.
Yeah, beautiful. Did you ever think about venturing away, or you just like, no, my roots are here. I want to keep here.
I suppose you just get used to it, and you get a circle of friends, and no, I've never really. I would never think of ever selling the farm and moving to another area and starting up again. I think once a lot of people. A lot of people that you've spoken to have been in those areas for a long, long time. So I think once you put your roots down and you've had a lot of family around here and you build up a network, I think I'm quite happy just to stay here and see my days out.
Yeah.
Playing more of those to come, right?
What was that?
Sorry,
Daniel?
which?
I said plenty more of those to come yet, mate.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's not over yet. So I'm here to annoy a lot of people before I go, I can tell you.
So what did you say, Laura?
I was going to say, what does day-to-day like for you?
Oh, day-to-day, it can be interesting because I actually I do over the past number of years. I do a lot of off-farm work also. So I had I've just given that away, like a landmark and contracting team, and where we did around 45,000 lambs a year throughout the winter, throughout the back end of autumn and into the winter and early spring. And from there, I do local stock carting into Wagga and local abattoirs around just to about 100 k's radius of Gammain. And then we have a grain trading business that we buy and sell grain every week. And so that's sort of so 1 minute you might be fancy and next minute you're running a truck and going to Kurawatha, Laura, yep. Or you're going over to the Monera and seeing some boys over there. And that all started on the back end of dog trialing when it got dry in the drought. Matt Whitley asked me, could I organise a load of barley? And Bill Luff said, I'll take one of those too. And it's just, it snowballed from there. So just the networking through the New South Wales Yard Dog Association, we've sort of started a grain trading business, which has been really good. And when things get dry, you sort of get that outside income keeps ticking in. So it's good.
And how'd you get into the
Sorry?
I was just going to say, how'd you get into the landmarking though?
Oh, well, I suppose it just kept coming. Earlier on, I was a wool classer, and it just progressed from there. And then I started doing a bit of contract stock work, and it was nearly the next thing to do. And so that's why I got into the landmarking. And fortunately enough, we were using the students out of the Charles Sturt University in Wagga. So yeah, once you've got a network of students going there, you just kept getting a new crop of students coming through nearly every year. And yeah, it was really good, and met some great people and quality people along the way. So at the uni, and we just progressed, and and during COVID, it just got a little bit harder and harder and harder to get people. And now after COVID, it was just near impossible. So I spent nearly all week on the phone trying to organise people, and then I eventually just threw my hands up and said it's just too hard. And I ended up giving my runaway to a young fellow at Grong. So that's how I got into the landmarking.
Yeah, right.
So are you the second generation in Gunmain?
No, we're third generation. So
yeah.
So my father died when I was 13, and so he's been passed away in 1982, and I've got Irish and Greek descent ancestry through here. My grandfather was the local Greek, George Magosis, and he came over to on a boat when he was 15 years old, and he actually he had the local cafe in Gunmain. So, and that's how. Yeah, so and then I think we're full of Irish on the other side, so a bit of a combination there.
That's two heritages I've never seen clash before.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty unique.
Yeah, that's it. So, and I'm right here in front of you.
Yeah, if you're third generation, your kids still local, mate, and they got interest in keeping in the family business at all?
I just have, they're all interested, and they've all been through the process, and they're all helped out from time to time. And I do have George's in Melbourne, Soph's in Newcastle at uni, and Tom's moved back from Wagga, and so it is good. So he is close. He's just not working on the farm at the moment, we're not really sure what the future holds, But hopefully one day he could possibly do what I do, off farm work, but just in a different capacity. So. But I don't really mind if they don't want to be farmers, as long as they understand what we do, and they all have an understanding of what we do and how we do it. And go and jump in the tractor and go and feed out hay, or go and get in a truck and go and load that, and help out in any way we need to. So go and move sheep, grab a dog, go and move the sheep, and if you leave one behind, come back and tell me, and that type of thing. So yeah, it's been good.
And I don't mean to pry into losing your dad early there, but so who inspired you to work with livestock and whatnot, like keeping in the area?
Oh, well, I suppose inspiration. Oh, I suppose we just had we had first cross ewes, and I don't know if anyone really inspired me to stay in the livestock. So it was just something, a part of the farm, and I think it's a really important part of the farm, because I think you need that diversity in farming. Some people around here have gone into cropping, and I know some areas of people that you've interviewed and people around that they can't go into cropping because it's just of the property and the topography and the hill and the rocks and all the rest of it. So they're not so much into cropping. But Gunmain is a cropping area, and also, and it's not a cattle area. It's only really a sheep area. So no, I don't think anyone really inspired. I think it was just an ongoing thing that we did on the farm, and we just kept that tradition going, really. So.
Was dogs the same as that, or did they come later on in life?
Yeah, it'd be good to go back and have a look at them and see what they're like now compared to what they were like, back then to now. So I think we had a Coolie and a Border Collie, and they were both handy dogs, but I just liked mucking around with them. This 9-year-old dog, and I'm trying to teach it how to sit, and I must have thought, what an idiot, or shake hands or whatever, but they were your mates, and you go to work with them, and And, from an early age, 13 to 14, you would have been bringing sheep in and drenching and backlining and doing vaccinating and doing whatever and working in the shearing shed. And you just, after school, you'd fly over to the shed when we were shearing. We used to shear for about 3 weeks. Just not many people had shearing sheds back in the day. So, and Dad built a shearing shed in 1956. And so a lot of farmers around the area used to bring their sheep to our farm and shear, which was a really big deal. So big deal. Cutouts nearly every second day when they got rid of, they get rid of that farm to get a new one in. And everyone was sort of helping each other out too, which is a really good little bond. And it sort of creates a bit of a community. So, but the dog thing, it just come. I just had a fascination with black and tan kelpies eventually, and through my late teens, and I don't know why, So, and I've just been thinking about when you asked me last week, Dan, and to come on the program, and I just really love the black and tan kelpie, and I just and I don't know why I got into, and even the dog trialing. There was a trial down at Coringal. Have you heard of that trial? There was a utility trial, 30 k's on the west of Narrandera. And I went down there just as a 17-year-old, just by myself, just to have a look. And there was, and all those fellas would have been down there, Kevin and Malcolm Peake and Bill Luff and Jim Luce and they would have all been there, and Steve Wayman and probably Chris. And I just rolled in there and just to have a look and so, and I just had an interest ever since. And we came back to I came back to that night, and I was up at the local club, and a fellow there who had a lot to do with the Gamma Show Society. Just I ran into him. He said, "Where have you been today?" And I told him. He said, "Well, we're starting up a trial in Gamma, and at the local show." And he invited me to come along to the show meeting. I went along to the next show meeting, and I was 17, and I've been involved ever since. And so that was in 1986, and so it's been good. And we've had I think Barrabogie Mac won the first trial at Gammain, and Troy came fourth by memory. So it's a long time ago. Steve Wayman might be able to remember. And there was a guy there called Greg Carmody. Had his dogs weren't even tied on the back of the ute. He just work one, and then go and put in the back of the ute, and none of them were tied up. And then away he went back wherever he lived, up in the hills somewhere. And so, but it would have been a rough old show to start with. But we got there, and last year we built our permanent set of yards there at Gammain. And so the show society's always been good behind the dog trial, and find it a really important part of the show. So, which is good.
Yeah, that's unreal.
Is it the Wagga dog club get involved and help out in that particular area with the Gunman trial as well?
Well, I'm involved with the club over there also. So those guys come out and, they'll let out and help out. Of course, all those fellas come over to the trial, and we just help each other out. And sorry, Dan.
I was going to say, that's a great little community you have there, and everyone just gets out and helps each other at their own at each trial, right?
Well, the show is quite unique because when, the football club always has a bye on that weekend, so everyone goes to the Gammain show. If I go to some other shows around the area, they're playing cricket or they're doing this or doing that, everyone goes to the Gammain shows. The only thing you do on that weekend, the second last weekend in August. So, and it's a great little show. It's always been strong financially, and it just has some really good things and good positive things happening. Like a lot of show societies, the next generation comes along, and they actually listen to them, and they want the next generation to come along. They want new ideas. They want people to be positive, and because, as you know, you don't want these things to fold.
No, absolutely. Once it does, it's hard to get going again, right? Yeah,
you lose your momentum. It's hard to kick it on again. So, no, it is a good little thing, and you are more than welcome to come down on the 19th of August. And I haven't met you, Laura, yet, but you're more than welcome to come down.
Definitely might have to put that one on the
19th August.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about?
Sorry, Laura.
What was that, Daniel?
Sorry, I'll write that down right now. 19th of August.
I was going to ask you, what was your first dog? Like you mentioned, you had a couple of coolies and collies, but your own dog. What was your first dog?
Oh, I had a dog called Mick, and I got him off a fellow over in Wagga called Dave McIntosh, and Mick, and I just got him as a pup, and he was just a. And when I look back now, it's everything you should do. Just repetition, repetition, repetition. Like I worked and worked and worked. Dan, you listen to me, or do you just keep looking away? I don't think you're listening. So all the things you should work your dog, repetition, 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 and I got him up, and we used to go do a little bit of trialing, and but only really for a number of years I only really had the one. I only had the one dog, and then and about 1997, I purchased a dog off Steve Condell called Condova Ripper, and that sort of started me off, and to the trialing scene, and you think, well, yeah. One day I headed off just out the road here, 50 k's out here at Arlethan, and I had this dog, and he was about 15 months old, and I put him in the novice, and we won the novice, and then the next thing, the 7 dogs out of the novice went in the open, and then I won the open too, and I thought, well, I might as well go on the high jump, and we cleaned them up in the high jump. I think I left with $500 and 22 bags of dog biscuits, and I had this old pussy ute, and she was loaded down to the spring. She was just all the way home at about 35 k's because I didn't want to blow a tyre. And but then I headed off to the Southern New South Wales Championships in Wagga, and 15 months. I was a bit older then. He was probably 20 months, and the sheep got him behind the gate, and that's where they stayed. So I just didn't know. I didn't know how to put sides on a dog. I didn't know really. No one had really showed me. And what you said there earlier, there, Laura, like how did I get into dogs? But no one coached me. No one showed me what to do. I could get a dog to back and bark and all those type of things, but I couldn't steer them around the ground. So I just didn't know how to do it. You just say here, and back, here, and back. So and you got through, but it was a bit of a rough way. And I see plenty of people now. They just yell out, "Go back," and you think, what is that? So. But and then he was a really good working dog once I worked out, and I went back to that trial 12 months later, and we come third in the championship, and Steve Condell come second, and Jeff McDougall come first, and both those dogs went to New Zealand, represented Australia. So I was pretty happy with third, but you got to kick off somewhere, and until I was going to trial after trial after trial, and Kevin Howe said to me, if you put that dog in the last round, you'll go a lot better. And so I didn't know you could do that. So once someone helps you out and gives you a bit of a hand, and you listen and learn, and it does. And as we say, we never stop learning. So and you just got to keep asking the question.
So you mentioned that you didn't know how to steer him around. How did you learn? How did you go about getting? Did somebody help you and go, hey, maybe you should put some sides on that dog, or did you get a bit more inquisitive?
I went out to Wanganella. I went out to Mary McCrab Greg Prince ran a school out there, and I was a little bit sorry I never went back and listened to the story. I listened to Greg again, and that was just the most amazing weekend. I just had an absolute. Oh, it was just a great weekend. We just everyone who was there was just talking dogs all weekend, and Greg was just fantastic. It didn't matter if you were just Joe Blow battler or you thought you were a superstar. He treated everyone the same, and he just wanted to help people. And I got so much out of that weekend. It just turned me around. So and I come home with those 10 steps that Greg, and I still have them today. And those 10 steps that don't bring that dog past that third step. Don't bring it to number 4 until you've mastered number 3. And it's still. And I talked to other people that have been there and been quite successful dog trialers, and they said sometimes I just go back to the basics and do it the Greg Prince way. So and it sort of worked for me, and it's not everyone's cup of tea, but it worked for me. And Mary said that night on the Saturday night, I think we're just going to have pack a couple of drinks and it reminded me a little bit of a BNS. Greg drank a bottle of scotch, and Mary couldn't walk, and Ken was done, Yeah, it was just a great weekend. So but, I'm sorry I never went back and did it again because he was a great fellow.
So those that don't know though, like there's a lot of us that never got to see Greg or meet him or hear his philosophy, I guess. What are those 10 steps?
Geez, Laura, you asked me top of so your dog's got to have natural instinct to start with, and then from there, and then start getting a bit. Once your dog's happy and working, and you think but get some control on, get a sit on him, get a call off on him, and then once you've mastered those things, you've sort of got something where you can go back to you can start to do little jobs with them because you can actually stop your dog at any time because you've got a really good stop on him, and you can call him off his stock at any time, and then from there progress to to your sides. And then from there, you can go to your like starting barking up behind a mob of sheep in a race, and then starting backing. And the way he did it, is really simple. And then just even to get a dog to walk backwards. And he said, this is only something you do for a minute. You can tie a sheep up in a drenching race or in a drafting race, and just for a minute, 1 minute, bring your dog in on a lead, just bring him in, and then with the rake, just pushing back on his paws and just get that dog to walk backwards. So that's, and then from there it's casting and just to finish the dog off. So yeah, great man.
And obviously you've obviously gone from having come here and go to putting in, I suppose, steps yourself. Well, you obviously took a lot away from that, but over what kind of period did you start to see results within yourself and your own team at that stage?
Oh, well, it depends if you just get in the right frame of mind and get yourself set up, and if you can go over and if I can go over to the sheep yards now and have an acre behind the yards, there's 8 sheep, so I can go there and work a couple of young dogs. And you can work a couple of young dogs in a half an hour. So if you set up, or you can put those sheep in a race, if you just want to do one step, just do that one step for the day. So the key is just to be set up, and so nothing's a hassle. If you've got to go and get the sheep, it's a hassle. By the time you get the sheep, you have the stuff up. 5 turns into 5:30, then it's dark, so you sort of miss the kick. But I think everything, it's really just repetition. So if you're teaching a dog how to back, don't teach him how to back until he masters that backing. Don't let him move on to the next step. If you're teaching a dog his sides, they do that 360 degrees, stop him, kick him back the other way, stop him, and then just keep the dog. Don't let the dog keep the dog in tune with you. So if you say back, round, whatever your sides are, but if he's going around in 360 degrees, he says, now I know what to do now. I'm going to go anti-clockwise now. I know what to do now. I'm going to go clockwise. You just got to say stop, clockwise, stop, clockwise, stop, clockwise. Just keep them. So they get in tune with you. So and listening for their name. So and that's very important. What Greg said, the name is really important. So if you want their attention, you've got to say their name. Ripper, Banger, Tyson, whatever their name is, and really attention grabbing is their name. So always use their name.
So on from that, what style of dog are you after and you're chasing then?
What am I after? I'm after a dog that likes me, Laura. That's what I like. That's what I like in a dog. If a dog likes me, he's going to go a long way here. If he doesn't like me, he's moving on. So basically that's it. Until he pays these inflated interest rates, then he might contribute to paying some interest rates if he doesn't like me. But that's it. And like we all can get up here and say, geez, we like a dog that heads correctly, and we like a dog that does this and it's not short and all the rest. But here again, mate, we've got really flat country. Like there's no hills whatsoever. So basically we could mob all our sheep. We could just push them in a mob, and a yard dog could push them into the yards. Like that's how simple it is. But I still like that casting, that having that good paddock dog. And I like to have them. Would I call them classic all-rounders? Probably not. They probably push more to the yard than what they do to the paddock. But all my dogs I like them all to work in the paddock, and then come into the yards. I like my dogs to mob bark. We run crossbreed sheep, and it's just important at different points. You just need it, and you need that force coming into the yards, and then through the yards, the backing and barking, all that's important, and I probably a style of dog I like. I don't like a dog that I like a dog that shows a little bit of eye, but not over too sticky. So if he's too sticky, too strong, I probably don't like them. And if they're, so I like a dog that's free enough. If I whistle and I want him to bark, he needs to bark. So, but with having the stock crate, Laura, I like a dog to go on the stock crate with me too. So we can go from the paddock to the stock crate, and then on the weekend we can go dog trialing. And if we can be competitive at a dog trial, then I reckon you've got a pretty good dog, and that's what I like.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, it really is an all-rounder.
Well, it is, but it's not that
your version of an all-rounder.
Sorry?
It's sort of your version of an all-rounder.
Yeah. So it's not that typical, where people work them in the hills, and like I could buy the same, like we could all buy a similar pup out of the same bitch, same dog, but we could all break them in difference. Now, Dan, you keep looking.
My dog's trying to get inside, mate. He's up on me, Turbo. He goes from this side to this side.
One second warning. If now you just throw him a lot of, we could all years ago. Bill Love, Phil Freebody, and myself got these 3 pups, and they're all different. Mine was probably not as good in the paddock as those 2, and those 2 were outstanding paddock dogs, and one of them was absolutely unbelievable in the yards. Like when he went to load a truck, go from the bottom to the top, really good backing, and then a great searching dog. He worked for Bill. Phil worked for Bill, and really good paddock dog. Like look for the sheep, break out again, and then you got Wonder, who was in that litter, was probably the best trial dog out of all of them. So they're all a little bit different and all broken in different, but 3 of them are all really good dogs. So.
And besides from all those little prerequisites, you have all black and tan?
No. Look, probably just I don't mind the black kelpie or a red and tan. A really good little red and tan bitch called Millie. She'd die for you. She never took her eyes off me. And that's another thing, Laura. If you can get something that's 6 weeks old or 8 weeks old that you've purchased or you've bred, and you train that dog, and it can do all those things, those disciplines that I spoke about, and then get it to a competition, like it's pretty rewarding, I think, and do well in the competition and go through your classes and that. I think it's a pretty rewarding thing to do. So
definitely, it's the ultimate in a lot of ways, isn't it? Especially then when you can take that and breed from that dog if it's good enough and all the rest. Then that progeny you do the same thing with.
And I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, getting around in the truck and the tractor and those type of things, where people have gone to trials and they've had three in the novice, 2 in the open, 1 in the improver, and it's all been by their dog. So it is pretty good. So.
And you've mentioned like a whole stack of like well-renowned trialers and some pretty handy dogs. Is there a particular line that you find suits yourself?
Oh, not really. No, I think when you look at all the really good dogs around, there's not much between the whole lot of them, is there? And even the good dogs in the past and the great handlers in the past, there's not much. I think, as I said before, I could, if that pup or that dog likes me, well, it's got more of a chance of staying here. So no, not particularly. No, I haven't really stayed on a line of dogs, but I've seen a lot of good dogs over the years and well handled, but no, there's not really a particular line of dogs that I wouldn't go to or would go to. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. There's a question here just come through from John O'Pillow. What young dogs have you seen recently that you like?
Young dogs? Well,
if there's any.
Yeah. I don't reckon he's going to win the best question of the night, this young bloke. Look, I'm not really sure. No, look, I'm not sure.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Has there any? You mentioned consistency before. Has there been someone around or a particular line that you find has been very consistent, bring very consistent dogs?
Oh, well, Jake Nowlin had that bitch, had a watch bitch. And they joined it to toss. She was unbelievable. She just had big litters, and she'd nearly come on heat 3 times a year, or 5 every 2 years. Yeah, that was just a really good line of dogs. And the dogs turned out really good, and they're just the occasional bitch wasn't that good, but yeah, that line just seemed to work. And people talk about repeat joinings. That like when Steve was on, remember he spoke about a dog Ace, like it was, that was probably the last of them. But Jim Luce had them, and Jake had them, and I had 3 of them, and Bill had it, and Peter Darmody, Graham Armour, and a lot of people had them. Like you would go to a trial, and what I spoke about before, out of the Improver and Open, there'd be 6 of them, make a final. So it was a really good line of dogs, yeah. And that just seemed to work. It was a good mating.
Very good. And you've talked about like having young dogs there. Have you got, and like having that pup at 6 to 8 weeks, have you got a certain age you like to start a pup, and then how do you progress?
I just go over with the pup. I started a pup the other day, and she worked for about a minute, but then she thought, well, it's best to play between my legs for the next 10 minutes. So, and she didn't look at them again, and she just, and so if we try again this weekend, once she does click on, there's no perfect, do they start? Sometimes we probably don't give them long enough to start, so no, there's no perfect time to start, when they're ready. Some might start at 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 14 or 16 or 4 months or 6 months, so just when they're ready to be switched on. They're only very young, and when they're switched on, and I just drop them out and see what they do. They have a bit of a look and chase, and a bit of a chew to a bit of wool or whatever's on the ground, and just whenever they're ready, they'll tell you when they're ready. So,
are you patient enough to wait for the later starters?
Oh, probably not. No, probably not. But probably over the last few years, I've been a little bit distracted by other things off farm a little bit. So my dog pack has sort of waned a little bit, but I'm sort of pretty keen at the moment to get back into them. I've got a few young dogs there now, and don't know if any of them are going to be champions, but I'm having a crack. And that's the thing. Sometimes I think when you're really busy, that's the dogs. My opinion now, if I'm really busy, that's the dog's quiet time. When I get time to have a crack at them, well, and be that if you can get a crack at them a fair bit, well, that's the time that we've got to go to work and show a bit of progress. So
how soon would you be taking them to work? Like, do you do a lot of training on the job?
No, not really. No, when they're ready, when you've got a bit of a handle on them, pretty good handle.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than chasing a dog and a lamb around. I tell you, it drives you crazy. So, when they're ready, and they can handle it, but you might go out, Laura, and you might, there's 90 first cross ewes out the front. I could go out and just poke that dog around those ewes and put them through a gate and see if you'll pick them up on the other side, and just do little jobs like that. But going to do bring in for land marking, and you just want to make sure that it's also got to be a good experience for the dog and for the handler, not just there's no set time.
Yeah.
And do you enjoy working young dogs? I think we were speaking to Andrew the other day, and Andrew King, and he goes, that's like his beer time. Like it's just something he really enjoys, right? It's his time for himself.
Yeah, look, it is good, and it is. I do find it rewarding if you get a young dog and you've got a really good stop on him, and you kick him around one way and you stop him, then you just, and you've just started like a minute, and you just say, righto, champ, let's go. And he thinks, what are we doing? You just brought me over here for a minute, and just to pull him away from that situation, because you've got a really good grip on him now. You've got a good stop, a sit, got a good call off sheep, and then you can go back to work and let him enjoy his work then. But I do enjoy that. And when you get sides on them, and when you get them backing, I think it is. I always have a bale of hay in the middle, square bale, so you can drop a cup of coffee there if you have to, or you can drop a can there if you want to, or leave a couple of cans up there. And always thinking, I tell you, always.
You'd hate a can, wouldn't you?
Pardon?
You'd hate a can.
Yeah, take a couple of cans there. So hard starter of a morning, never killed anyone, I wouldn't have thought.
No, that's the game. Just you've mentioned like a minute there a few times. So I'm assuming you keep your training sessions really, really short.
Oh no, if I was, when you go over and you think, they think they're going to work but you think not, I might just do that for a minute and call them off because, they think, we're going over to work and we're going to be over here for 20 minutes and doing this. And you think, I've got a real grip on you. And you go over there for a minute and think, and then we go back and do a bit. I just don't do it for a minute. I go back and do a bit with them, and just let them have. Sometimes I just let them have a bit of relaxed time, just going around, just bringing the sheep back to me, and you just walk around and just enjoy it. So don't say anything to them. Just let them enjoy it. Let them be dogs. Let them be dogs.
Walk into the corner with a can.
Sorry, what's
walk
that?
into the corner with a can.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. Yeah. So just be careful. But Andrew was very good when he Andrew King. Yeah, he was very good. Very good handler. When he come up here, he came up with a big reputation, Andrew. So, and he was only 30 k's from here. So I spent a bit of time at Bulls Run. Actually, I did a little bit of work there at Bulls Run. So just spent a bit of time with Andrew after work and come with a big reputation. He won South Australian Opens and Victorian Opens, and he won sheep benching, and he's working in Marcus Ulm doing demonstrations and since he's come up here and hit a bit of pressure with the better handlers, he hasn't won a chook raffle, I tell you.
Oh, love it. I had a question there. I absolutely forgot about. What dogs do you have in your current team, mate? Tell us a bit about your current camp.
Oh, I've got my oldest dog is Harry, and I got him off Jake Nowland when he was about 10 months old, and he's been a really good dog for me. So what I spoke about before there, Laura, that dog that I can just go to and probably go to too often and go and do everything with him, go and do the mustering, go and do the yard work, go and do the crate work, and then turn around and be competitive at a dog trial. But after that, it sort of falls away a little bit. Andrew gave me a bitch the other day. Who's about 6-year-old Holly, and she's if you can breed dogs like Holly, she's just a good little worky bitch, and really positive, and got a great little nature and temperament. And then I've just got the younger dogs in. So I've got another dog, Choc. He's a Rafa dog. He's about 4-year-old. He's heading off to the auction in Wagga. Then I've just got the younger ones, 14 months old. I got a red pup there that I got off Bill, and another one I got off Matt Whitley, just a younger dog at 10 months, and another pup about 4 months. So so I've sort of been. You can just tell with that I've just been a little bit out of it a bit, but I'm hoping if I can get one of those back to the trialling ground, I'd be very pleased, I can tell you.
And what do those dogs need to show you to get into the trialling ring?
Oh, what do they have to show me? Yeah, basically, they want to be pretty competent here before I take them to the trial ground. They want to be that if you needed a bit of bark, they could do it. If they need the back, they need really, I think, and also they want to be just to be able to steer them around the trial ground. That's probably the most important thing. And I think that's about it. Like I remember at Wagga years ago, I had this dog called Charlie, and I come off there, and I think I was 58, and I couldn't wipe the smile off my face when I was walking back to the ute because you can just see the potential in him. So. But that's the thing. But he was probably just a little bit green to be there, and that's the thing I think with trialing. Even when I'm judging, people bring dogs out and they're just not ready to. They're not ready to be there. They are not ready. They haven't got proper sides on them. They think they have, but they haven't. They're calling them back round, doing this, but the dogs aren't responding, and the sheep are going backwards and so. And I don't think the dog gets anything really good out of that. I think the things. go home, train your dog properly, and then come back to the trialing ground, and you'll enjoy it better rather than just giving a dog a run. And for the experience, I think it's got to be a good experience. So
that makes sense. How does someone then go? How do they know that they've got those things on their dog without coming to a trial at times? Like someone that doesn't have that real work all the time.
Well, Laura, when you step out with Nate tomorrow, and you put your dogs around, well, if you haven't got sides on that dog, well,
look, we lost her. She'll be back.
I think she hung up.
She didn't like it when she goes, oh no, I can't deal with all this pressure. Because
noises, is she?
No. She was playing with the screen there for a sec, so she'll come back any second now.
Shouldn't fiddle.
That's all right. Give you a chance to have a sip of that drink there. She'll be back.
Oh, is that vodka?
Sorry?
Is that vodka?
I wish.
Yeah.
I don't drink vodka.
Neither do I.
I'm more of a beer man myself.
No, it is, I mean, you see. That's a Greek heritage.
So, anyways, to answer Laura's question there, she's back with us now. Wait a second.
Sorry,
you didn't like his answer, Laura?
Yes. I know. There
no,
you
I
go.
didn't even hear his answer.
Up there again. Right, Laura. So, what was your question, sorry?
How does someone that doesn't always have that real work know that they've got those things on their dogs until they, so a lot of people will say you take your dog to a trial and you might think it's ready, but you don't know what you don't have until you get there. How do you make that judgment beforehand? Really, the hardest thing to do is stand at that gate and send that dog. Like the pressure the dog and the handler's under, that's the hardest thing you can do, is bring those 12 sheep past you into that first forcing pen. That's the hardest thing for a young dog to do. And try and bring them down straight on the ground. Just go out. It doesn't take much. You just got to just set up a situation at home where you're, similar to a trialing ground. Send your dog out. And if the sheep are over one side, or they come in behind a gate, or they're coming close to you, and you can't bring your dog around to bring them back on course, then it's probably quite not ready to go into that trial. Yeah, no, that's a very fair way to put it, I guess. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you can't call that dog off balance, you go back to training pen.
That's it. So you want to make sure, when you come off, if you come off with the 75, it doesn't matter what your score is, but just if you come off, you got to say, well, geez, I bought those sheep in really good. I couldn't get them up. That draft nearly drove me crazy, but I was really happy the way the dog worked outside, because you'll get those inside things eventually. You'll get it, but just on the outside, it just try and work on your sides, and when your dog is really, and the dog will nearly tell you when he's ready, and you'll know when it's ready. Just that people get a bit, I've got to go dog trialing, and when the dog's not ready, so, and I can understand why they're keen and ready to go.
Okay.
It's hard when they're 150 meters away though, Dan.
Sorry?
Harder in a utility when they're 150 meters away.
Very, very true. But yeah, very guilty. I'm a bit impatient, so I've been out a few times out of my depth as well.
Oh, look, we've all been there. As I said to you there when I was telling you about Ripper, I couldn't steer him around. The sheep got him behind the gate, and we'd be still there because I just didn't know how to steer him. I didn't know how to steer him around the ground. So it just takes time and practice and repetition and all the rest of it. So yeah, right.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because there's so many people out there that they look at other people's dogs and then they put kind of like a precedence on what they expect out of their own dogs. But exactly, so it takes time and repetition, right? And with repetition, we're going to build consistency and reliability. But if we're not prepared to put that time in, well, like we're never going to have that other dog that we're seeing. Yeah, that's right. And when we go to a dog trial, I think your goal is, well, everyone's got different goals and different with their different dogs. But if you're going pretty good with your dog, to make a final is really good. And when you make that final, you've got to have a crack. You're in a chance to win it, because if you think you're 10 points down, sometimes they fall like a deck of cards, and you go out and you work your dog to a treat, you can come up. You just don't know how close that win is to you. So, and it is hard to win dog trials, I tell you. It is hard to win them. Mate, and you've obviously been on a lot of trials and a lot of work. Is there a dog around that you've gone, shit, I'd love to have that dog in my camp?
I wasn't around when Basil was around, but I was around when Buster was around, and he was a hell of a work dog, and Michael worked him really well, and he was an almighty dog. I think he won a national Kelpie, and I never saw him work at home, and that's the thing. I never saw that dog work at home, but he was a mighty dog there's certainly in the yard trialing, and yeah, you can just tell with the amount of work that he had in him, he'd just be a great dog at home, and probably a dog like it may be a bouncer, Steve Condell's. He was another great dog, but there's only between them all. There's not much between the whole. I know you asked me for one, but geez, a lot of those dogs, there's not much between the whole lot of them. Like there's been some great handlers and great dogs in the past, and Chris Stapleton and Boss, and a great combination. Won a couple of New Souths, and a lot of great dogs that've been around, and Bill Luff and Wonder, great dog, won three Hendies in a row, and so there's not much between the lot of them. But a lot of the time, we don't see that dog at home. We only ever see that dog at a trial ground. So sometimes that's a bit of a so it's a little bit different then. But I think Buster would have been a hell of a dog at home and a hell of a dog on the trial ground, which I did see. So he was probably number one.
Beautiful.
And on from that, Nathan has a question for you.
Sorry, Nathan.
Cave.
Right.
Has a question.
He's asked. He should ask me the question then.
I think you must have been waiting. He asked, for someone that's a little bit hesitant and new to trialing, what advice do you give them to coming into it?
Just take your time. Just take your time. Feel your way. Just stand at the edge of the fire. Don't stand in the fire, and just find your way. And people, if you listen enough and ask enough questions, everyone's more than accommodating to answer those questions. And if you like having a can at the end of the day, well, don't be the brunt of everyone's jokes. Just find your way. And it's a great community to be involved in, and people will help you. So there's a lot of help out there, but just be patient, find your way, don't push your way.
And you've mentioned a stack of names out there, and some pretty prestigious names when it comes to yard trialing. But you mentioned when you went to your first trial, you knew no one. So how did you integrate into those circles?
I suppose I just got eventually. I was just running the trial here at Gamone, and I just got involved in the Wagga Yard Dog Club. So, not when Steve Condell's there, you don't get much of a say. You still don't get a say. But you just go and put yourself out there that you want to be involved in a club, and then from there you might go to someone. I remember going up to Bill's and Bill Luffson about early in the early 90s. Went up and I bought a pup off him. And had a drive through the farm, and eventually you get to meet people, and then you might have a camp over at Henty. Henty was a great trial, and still is a great trial, and you just get you go and have a beer and a meal and that with them, and you sit with them, and eventually you just you get to know them, and it's just over a number of years. You go up to Dalgety and you stay up at Larry's there and Larry Wallace's, and you eventually just find your way, and just slowly and gradually. So, yeah.
Mate, so that getting involved in that Wagga trial, and some of the names you mentioned, you've obviously built some really long life mates out of that particular day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you do. You go to their 40s and 50s and 60s, and, you go to a few of their kids' weddings, and, they come to their 20, you go to their 21st, and they come to our 21st, and so look at it is really good, and some people you go up to and judge, you stay at their homes, and they're really accommodating to you, and so you really, when I went up and stayed at Kay and Kevin's, it was really good. Parramatta were playing. I think Kevin was happy. I think because Parramatta actually won the Mighty Eels, but Jeez, I tell you, talk about a shrine of Digger around the joint. There was Digger was on the ceiling. Digger was everywhere I went. Digger was following me around. I looked at the teacup, and Digger was at the bottom of the teacup. So, Kevin's a bloody mighty man, and to do what he's done has been amazing. To win all those national kelpies, and that is, I don't know if anyone can do that again. I think Kev's really got that one tied up. So he's put his name down there in history, and I don't know if anyone will get around him there. So it's been a great effort for him. But to be at 80 and just keep plugging away at it, and won the national kelpie there in Victoria the other day. It's a fantastic effort. So take my hat off to him. So
I don't think it's just Kevin. I think he's got a good lady there supporting him the whole way through as well.
Good fan club.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think he's very lucky. He's got Kay as well beside him, supporting him every day. So
I think we all need that one.
Yes.
And you mentioned judging there. Like, what are your takeaways from judging? Like, what do you personally get out of it?
Judging. I think judging. You just got to take your turn. When it's your turn to judge, you just got to. Someone rings up and says, "Can you come and judge yes, or come and judge whatever?" You just got to take your turn. We all like to trial, but you got to. I just take my turn. I need judges in here again, mate. So if Benny Costa ring me to do yes, I say to Benny, the next question is, Benny, big fella, you coming again, mate. So and I've been up to Monero and different places to judge, and it's just. You just got to take your turn, but it's actually good for your trialing to judge, because you just see things a bit different. You concentrate a bit harder, and so it is good. And you see how blokes work dogs, and and what they do, and even the big boys sometimes will miss draft, and you just got to be careful and concentrate when you draft when you're judging. So just to make sure you get it all right, and just judge what you see, and I don't think you should. If anyone approaches you about where do I lose my points, you say, look, I'm just judging at the moment. Come and talk to me later. And hopefully they've forgotten about it when you're finished. But, it's just what it is. And whatever happened on the ground, that's it. You just leave it on the ground and move on. If you win, you win. And, but judging, it is good, and you should judge. So I do enjoy judging. So when it's your turn.
Speaking of, like you mentioned the draft there and people losing points, like, is there a common obstacle, or where do you see most people losing their points around a yard trial ring?
Probably in the outside, I'd say. Probably the younger dogs and the novice probably on the outside. But, just sometimes you can just go to some trials, and that Wagga draft can get really tough at times. That the Gamma novice in here can get really tough at times. The draft there, just different. You can just see sometimes where you go to a trial and just gets back to that basic commands, where that really good stop and the put away, where a bloke goes in on a 95 and the sheep just come on him. He loses 10 points, and you think, geez, that dog only just had to stop there. If it just stopped when he told him to stop, he wouldn't have lost his 10 points, and he probably would have won the trial. So what it gets back to, just your basic commands, that stop, and he just hasn't quite got that right, or the dog overrides the handler a little bit and just thinks, oh, we know what we do here. He aims the goat, I'll put the sheep in, so just got to be careful. So
actually, just on that, Andrew King mentioned the other day about seeing women in trialing and how it's been great. And I noticed at Wagga, I attended Wagga this year, and noticed so many women in Indian Courage and Novice. It's great to see a lot of women enter the sport, and predominantly, let's be honest, a male dominated sport. Obviously you mentioned Mary Crab a lot earlier, and I suppose there's probably been a little bit of a jump in eras between people. But are you noticing now down in Wagga more women getting into it, and even getting more technical in what they're doing, and kind of retaining them a little bit more than some of the young fellas?
Yeah, look, they've had some big wins. Was it Brie Cudmore who won the National Kelpie?
Yeah, that was Brie.
And then she won the New South.
Mm-hmm.
New South down at Denny.
I think she won the maiden and the novice.
I think she won the New South, didn't she? Who won the New South?
Dean got it this year.
Sorry?
I'm pretty sure Dean or Jeff had it this year.
No, they didn't win the championship.
Yeah, I think Brie won that, to be honest. I think you're right.
She won the She won the anyway, look, regardless of that, like, yeah, she's doing a great job. I think it's really good. I think it's great. But the lady she's been on with you, like, I know Catherine Rains has done a bit. Who's the other? Megan Rutherford. You know, I think it's really good. Like, the husband's doing it. They're making a family weekend of it. Why not? You know, I think it's really good. Yeah. So yeah, the more the merrier. You know, and yeah, look, in camp drafting, everyone drafts. So the dog trialing, they can all do it. So no, I think it's a great idea. So, and Amelia,
Stowe till now.
Yes. You know, like, she done a great job winning that New South there in Wagga there a few years ago, and she's a great handler. So, I think it's really a positive thing. You know, so.
And you touched on something there about, I think you mentioned camp drafting and families, and at Wagga this year, the amount of like husband, wives, and partner relationships, but their kids, like, there was so many kids running around just having an absolute ball, and like, they're the next generation coming through, and it'll just be the norm to them, just being around dog trials, right?
Yeah. That's right. That's been happening for a number of years now. So, you know, it is a good thing, and like, sometimes, like, my wife doesn't trial, but she helps out. She helps out at Wagga, or helps out at Gammain, and you'll find that a lot of partners do actually, are behind it. You know, we mentioned Kay Howe there before. You know, like, it just, Kay's probably never trialed, but she's at every dog trial. You know, so yeah, I think, look, you know, but if she wanted to trial and she got into it, it would have been fine. You know, so I think it's a positive way. Yeah, it's good.
Oh, it's fantastic. You're right, Laura.
You've mentioned Wagga Dog Club a fair bit, and your involvement in it. But what does the club provide? So let's say there's someone in Wagga wanting to come in and join in. What is Wagga Dog Club, and what do you do? How often do you get together, sort of thing?
We probably don't meet as often as we should. We don't have any training days. We just, last weekend was the school, and then we have the auction in the second week there in August, and then we have the trial back in April. But we probably shouldn't meet we don't meet as often as we should, as far as having pup days or getting new people in. Jeff McDougall out at Hay, they meet every 6 weeks, I think, at certain times of the year. You know, it might be from March through to September, and before it gets too hot, and you know. But I found a lot of the times, even when you go to Hay, you see a lot of jackaroos and that there. I think once it's in you, it's in you, and if it's not in you, like, they'll come in and trial, but then they'll get in their vehicle and leave. They'll leave straight away. I think if it's in your blood, well, it's in your blood, isn't it? You know, it's hard to get it out. But probably Wagga, I don't know if we're just being busy, but we probably should set aside a couple of days a year just to have a couple of training days where we get involved. But anyway, there might be something we can do in the future.
And have you got a favourite or most memorable moment, or a favourite trialling achievement thus far?
I think. Sorry, just favourite moment or favourite, what was
most memorable moment, or a favourite achievement, or?
I think, well, it wasn't a great achievement, but I think in 2010 I broke my back in a couple of places. I fell off a shed just over here, about 150 metres from the house, and I didn't do anything with my dogs. And I headed off to I wanted to go dog trialling, and I went out to West Wyalong in July, and the dogs had not seen a sheep since December. And I rallied them in, and I made a novice final and won the improver and come third in the Australian. And I was pretty happy on the way home, I can tell you. So for something they'd never ever, I thought they were going to be wild as wild. But anyway, I don't know what happened. I must have stuck them in a collar and ran them from 20 k's out, the foot in the collar, but I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy about that. You know, just the burn at a big trial, burn at the Australian, and getting 3 results. You know, I was pretty happy. Yeah, about that.
You would have murdered a few cans when you got home.
I was off the drink. I was on drugs. I was on the OxyContin, so I was no pain relief. I wasn't on the alcohol, I can tell you. It would have been someone burgling my esky or something, probably. So
cool. Have you done that, Laura?
Yeah. I was gonna ask, have you got any advice to someone wanting to come into dogs, ag, anything like life, not life, but, you know, any sort of, I've lost my words, but any advice for someone wanting to come into it or
into the dog world?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, there was a guy we were setting up there last week over in I think now with Facebook and the internet and the whole setup now for social media, there's a guy just turned up now. He's got a Kelpie, he races greyhounds. He wants to be involved. I don't know how I got held up. I just couldn't get there on the weekend, but he wants to be involved and he only had a young dog. But just ring up someone, and you're not going to get your head bitten off. If you want to be a part of the hay setup, you've got Jeff McDougall out there, and you've got all that knowledge. If you want to be with the Wagga Club, you can come out and be a part of the club. And I'm sure if you're down Holbrook Way, Neil Taylor will help you out, or Matt Whitley, or I'll help you out, or Steve Condell will help you out, or Simon Hartwick will help you out in any way. So I think just Laura, just go and ask the question. Find your way and ask the question. If you've got a dog there and you're keen to trial, start. Because we've all started somewhere. And I don't know if too many's ever been to a trial and won their first trial after just having a bit of a crack. So, just go and ask the question, I think. Yeah.
How about, you mentioned earlier about the labour shortage, and you've obviously been around for a while in the landmark and stuff. What about people that just want to get a job in the industry? What advice would you give to those particular people in the current climate?
To get involved.
Want to get involved in the agricultural sector.
Sorry, I just lost the question.
No, you're right. You were talking about your labour shortage earlier, like when we first started the conversation tonight. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that want to get involved in the agriculture sector, but just don't know where to start. Maybe they're not from off property and they just look like maybe they haven't backed themselves yet. They're like maybe still second guessing. What advice would you give to those particular people?
Oh, well, I suppose it's like anything. And years ago, I was a wool class when I was 16. I always say I was the dumbest in the class, and I was. But it was, and then you thought, I used to do a bit of local wool classing around here, and you thought, geez, I can work and do this and all that. And then I went out to Burke, and I got with a Maori team out there, and they showed me how to work and how to wool class and how to do everything. They made me look fantastic. But I think, geez, you step from Ganmain out to there, like 500 k's away, you're in a completely different world. And I think that's just go and have a bit of a crack. If you want to get into the agricultural industry, go and have a bit of a crack. I mean, there used to be one at Yanko, but I think that Tokol one still operates up your way somewhere, doesn't it? That ag college. And, you just got to go and learn a few skills and just put yourself out there, find your way. Go and ask the question. If you don't want to be a stock agent, go and work in the yards for a while. It mightn't be for you after a while. So, but you might find something else that does suit you. So just go out and ask that question, and don't be afraid. And most people are accommodating. Like people you've met along the way, and since are all accommodating, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
No one turns you away, and no one tells you to rack off. Like everyone wants to help out. So.
And even if they did, that'd be a good way to weed out who you do want to rub shoulders with and who you didn't.
Yeah, if you go and work for someone, they're flying off the handle and that in the sheep yards, well, that's not the person you want to work with. But you've learned with that person that that's not who I want to work with. I want to work with someone who's good with dogs or good with, good to work with and be a good experience for the day, not someone where you go at the beginning of the day and doesn't even say good morning and you walk in and you're absolutely crapping yourself because he's gonna chew the ear off me for nothing, something I didn't even know anything about. So and or you send you on a job but you don't understand. So you just got to go and ask the question. And the person who works with you has got to be very patient.
If I had no idea where to start and I was listening to this show because I had an interest in dogs, I'd be hitting up going to every dog trial I could and be speaking to as many people and seeing what opportunities come up in the dog trialing community, whether it be yard trialing or three sheeping or cattle trialing. like we're speaking to them all, like get out and just go and see people and have a chat.
Yeah, because there's a real labour shortage in the rural industry. So at the moment, or I don't know how long it's going to last for, but So, and if you've got a bit of go about you, you'll get a job. And I've had a lot of people come out here and work from that uni, and I've said to them, "How much land marketing have you done?" "Oh, geez, I went to a friend's place one time and we did 20, but they had the best work ethic." So they just did the job. They just pick it up straight away because they had a good work ethic. So, and that's if they've got a bit of a motor about them, and it didn't matter if they're male or female, they just worked, so, and, but, those people, they're turning, they wanted the income because they're at uni and they're paying their rent and paying to live from week to week. And they want to come out and work hard, get paid well. And the last thing they wanted, when they left the property, I'm thinking, well, they're never coming back again. That's the last thing they wanted me to think. They want to go out there and think, geez, I can't wait till they, be impressive and come back and work again. So yeah, there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah, I got a new start for you there. You get all the associations together and start a recruitment wing for employment recruitment for all the associations for all the trialing.
No, I don't think so. I think I'll do no. I think I've had nothing. Yeah, so it's just a little bit difficult sometimes. Yeah, employing staff is hard, So test your patience out. But,
absolutely. Shit, I just lost absolutely where I was up to there. I was going to ask another question. And mate, you seem like a pretty confident person. How do you handle, or have you ever had an issue with nerves, like when you're out there trialing? And if so, how did you handle them?
I think because now I've only got the one dog, I think I put a bit of too much pressure on myself before I go out. If you got to, a few years ago, I had a team of 6 dogs, and you go and run one in the novice or in the improver or whatever, and it sort of gets that, you get a feel for the whole situation and what's in front of you, and more so at bigger trials. But when you only got the one dog, that's just. God, I found myself at Deniliquin. My left foot was shaking when I come off the truck, and but I think if I went out and I had a few more nerves. I think because sometimes at those bigger trials, it means so much, like to win a New South or to win a championship or win those bigger trials, the Australians and those. I think, if you're lucky enough for your number to come up, it's pretty exciting. So, but yeah, look, I think that's just I think that's it. I just put at the moment, I just put a lot of pressure on myself not to for that one dog. So, and because if I don't work him properly and he's not working properly, well, we're out. So you haven't got to go back to the ute and get him to pull another one out. You think, oh well, didn't get a very good draft that time, or misdrafted or something, and then I'll just go back to the ute and pull out another one. I'll be better the next time. It doesn't quite happen, but yeah, that's just an individual thing. So I watched that Justin Turns out at West Wyalong, and holy smoke, he was carrying on like Krusty the Clown and just come out and clean them up in the New South like no worries at all. So. And it's just he was nervous when he hit the ground. It's just, if you asked him was he nervous, he'd probably say yes, I was. So anyway.
Yes. And you touched a bit earlier. You mentioned there about a utility trialing. We've spoken a bit about a yard trialing tonight. Have you done much utility trialing?
No, I haven't done. The only utility trial I used to do was out at the Bulls Run.
Yep. And
it was just a great weekend, and you would have loved it, Laura. You would have loved it. It was just some great handlers out there, and just to go out and let the sheep out, and you just see the really good casting dogs come out, and Jim Luce in his prime, and Kevin and Brad Pello and Bill and just the really the good dogs, how they work, how they control those sheep, because those sheep were wild. And so it was a great trial, and out at Wentworth's got they have a 3 sheep before the yard trial the day before. So I've been out there and done that one time, and that was really enjoyable too. So, and I reckon there's no better feeling when you got the sheep in the right spot. But sometimes a bit difficult to get them in the right spot, but it is a good feeling, and it is a good concept, and yeah, so I did enjoy it, but I haven't done many. I've probably only done about 4, I reckon. So, but it is good fun, no doubt about it.
Very cool. Mate, is there anyone you'd like to see us sit down and have a chat with on Dog Talk?
Yeah, there'd be a few. Dean Incher, has Dean been on? Dean?
Oh, that's a bit of an arm wrestle. I have asked Dean, but I haven't convinced him just yet.
Yeah, Dean's he's on fire at the moment. He's got a great pack, and he should come on because he's got a bit of knowledge to share. And Larry Wallace is very good. Larry had a hell of a pack. Did you know Larry? Do you know Larry?
No.
No, from Dalgety. I think he's back in the cool room now. So, but he's like he had a great pack. He represented Australia. Went to New Zealand with his dog Rufus, and someone like that'd be very good. So there's plenty out there. There's plenty of good ones out there. So, but there are a couple of Monero boys that are very good. Chris Sellers is very good. He's over Brungle Way. You ask Chris.
Chris and I have been playing phone tag since I spoke to you at Gun Guy.
Yeah, right.
Chris and I have also been playing phone tag as well.
Yeah, no. Chris has got a hell of a pack of dogs there. He used to work at Romani, and now he's back working another property just near Brungle now. So, so he's got a big team of dogs. So any of those fellas, it'd be good. What about what's the name of his brother? He's over Matty Sherwood's brother. What's his name? Chris Sherwood. Yeah, someone like that'd be good. So he's been a bit of a horseman too. So
he's been doing quite well in the camp drafting of late.
Yeah, so just different. No horses here at Gamo. We're just on this flat country, so you can do it all with the ute, but not many. There's a lot of good lambs. I've carted a lot of good lambs out of this area over the last 12 years, but there's only one dog I'd keep, and so that it's not really good for the dog industry, but there's not much effort put into the sheepdogs here. So if we had a local dog trial, a local at the show, I think I'd be the only one that turn up. So so I don't know why, but it's just the way it is. But they just tend to, the shaker and the prodder, and I don't know how many. I just don't know how many, when you've got a good dog and you can muster and do the yard work, I don't know how many men that replaces. I just couldn't put a figure on it, but I think they're a great part of the sheep industry. So we certainly need them.
Definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mate, was there a question tonight that stood out for you? Bless you. That wasn't you. But,
I didn't have any questions, but I'll go with the Nathan Cave question. Yeah.
There you go, Nathan. Congratulations. Bag of Enduro coming your way. And Anthony, for being a guest on tonight, we thank you for that. And there's also a bag coming your way.
Great. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Thank you, Laura.
That's all right. One last question before you disappear.
Oh, here we go.
We always ask. Would you rather fight one duck the size of a horse or 20 horses the size of ducks?
I reckon I've never ridden a horse, so I'll fight the horse because the duck's a female, so I'm not trusting in the female. So I'll take the horse.
Well, I'm waiting for you to say you've never ridden a duck either. So I was going to ask, how'd that go?
That's it.
And mate, thank you very much for your time tonight. Appreciate it. To everyone watching there, thank you, and everyone listening back. We thank you for your time, and please remember, we learn every day, and the day we stop learning will be a sad one for all of us.
Certainly right. Good on you. Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.